Welcome to Broke RV Living. It's hard to do it if you're dead, but I'm getting there. But we're all getting there one way or another. That's why it's very important to realize that even though we're older or younger, that we're all screaming through something that's not going to last long. So it's very important to inform each other or find the best information to adapt to cooperating with each other. And the word collaboration is very important when you're a broke RV living person. Now, an RV is a roving vehicle. The Earth is actually a roving vehicle, and it's going 16,000 miles around the sun and spinning 1,100 miles east. And every time it orbits the sun, it's considered our birthday. But in reality, it's just part of the omnidirectional precessional coexistence of radiation and gravity and momentum. But so we're trying to survive here, and I'm broke, and I'm getting broker, but I'm surviving. I'll be okay. I've got enough to eat and do everything for a while. Trying to learn how to do this YouTube stuff. And all species that's ever gone extinct was mainly because of overspecialization. For instance, dinosaurs were hit by the meteors, and they couldn't hide from the meteor, and the little mammals in their little holes could survive, and that's basically was us originally, evidently. And Darwin is really quite important to believe in. Not believe in, it's an experiment that you witness. You see people right now adjusting to the virus. This is part of the evolutionary Darwinian state of survival for the selfish gene. It's the most important thing that humans can do is adapt to loving everything and making it easier to live for everybody else. It's actually a war against entropy. Entropy is the second law of thermodynamics, where all systems lose energy till they change into something else, like trees and leaves, and it rots and goes back into the soil, comes back out and goes into the sky, goes all around the world where it rains, everything. The whole thing is an entropic cycles of syntropy and entropy. Syntropy is when they come together, like the sun coming onto the earth and making this vegetation. And entropy is when the things fall apart and fly away into something else. Even a train or anything will finally rust into nothing. Into another element. It's always a 92 element. It doesn't matter what it is. Now, what does this have to do with RVing? Well, you know, if you're especially broke, you need to be homeschooled, and home is the planet Earth, and really the homeschooling of planet Earth needs to occur in all the languages to where they're all collaborating with each other. And I could do a little tech thing here. I've got an alarm I got from Sharp Image right here, and this thing isn't loud enough to where the burglar, when he gets in, he's the only one that can hear it. So that's my first tech review. It sticks in the cigarette lighter. There's another really good one. I'll try to get to that later. I don't have my affiliate. I don't think I'm going to make it to be an affiliate with Sharper Image. I don't know. Let's see. Now, see this thing. Let's see if you can see how loud it is. See, outside the car, you can't really hear that. But anyway, it's very important to have the right state of mind, especially if you're broke, so that you don't break down and feel everything's going to, that, you know, life's at the end of the world. And it's the best thing to do is leave good information on the planet to where everyone can successfully try to advantage themselves to live together. And I call that the Unitivity method. So this is the introduction for the relationship of broke RV living, which get rid of your rent, move into the smallest car you can buy, the cheapest, and you can live very comfortably with the new technology. Before, you didn't have free these little flat square TV antennas can get 200 channels free, and they're better than regular channels, you know, regular pay TV, and you get most pay TV anyway. But the most important thing is to have the best computers you can get, the best iPhones you can get, or best phones you can get, or get used ones if you can't afford it. You know, it's you can't steal a phone because you know, it's impossible. But you got to protect yourself. I have another alarm that's much better than this one. I'll put it up later. But it's important to make videos as much as possible. But I worked with some of the smartest people that ever lived, and met quite a few people. I met Werner von Braun and Bill Lear and B.F. Skinner from the Skinner box. I met the Moon Man, Buzz Aldrin, you know. A lot of really, I hang around some pretty heavy guys, because I worked with Buckminster Fuller for 16 years. I traveled around with him while I was lecturing, and taped his videos, and he wrote books off the transcribed. Naomi Smith in his office transcribed them. And you know, the most important thing to really learn is geometry, especially spherical trig and energetic geometry. So if you ever get a chance, study synergetics. It's free on the internet. It's everything is based on tetrahedrons, octahedrons, and the icosahedron. The medium level of the 92 elements coming together. We're all based on these closest packing of orbital spheres made of really 186,000 miles a second radiuses. The only difference, everything's made of 92 elements, and what makes the 92 different is they're all going the same speed in a radius circles, 186,000 miles a second, but the radius is different. So when the radius extends or contracts, it changes the element, and it gets hotter, denser, and colder, and all this has to do with the radius in which they all go the same speed, and they sweep out in a radius of an angstrom and around 500 square miles a second of area, and 186,000 miles a second. But anyway, we're living on a little planet. We're space people. We need to adapt ourselves to where we're living that way. Now, in the future, people will not want to own anything. They'll want to share the unbelievable infinite amount of resources that the planet will have to give any individual, because we're all collaborating together. Now, this is a very important design for the future that's occurring, starting now. So consider getting ready for this if you're young, and promoting this, because there's just no reason to have the Malthusian attitude. Thomas Malthus is not enough to go around, and survival for the fittest, so you have to have wars. The wars are obsolete. There's no reason to have wars, because there's enough to go around on the whole planet for everybody. So it's absolutely ridiculous to have wars. And we have to start being able to communicate in some way to where everybody trusts each other in these smaller companies like North Korea and Russia and Iran, and they're all basically different religious or considered political views, which are actually programs. Like, you know, an early computer program doesn't compete with another program as well, and you know, trying to get these programs on one program. So Unitivity is what I call getting on one program for everybody, because you can be any religion and you can go through the history of humanity and it actually be part of the real history of humanity. There was an actual Jesus, there was an actual Muhammad, there was an actual Buddha. You know, there's Shito, everybody has their history, and you can go find the artifacts of when they existed. They really did exist, and it's real important to allow people to believe whatever they want. Now, science is setting in order the facts of experience, so you don't believe anything. You only go by experiment, and you actually measure things. So unless you're merely measuring things, you're really not being scientific. Science is setting in order the facts of experience in the most economical way. So the whole concept, even if you are religious, that's your scientific view, because it's still a view of setting in order your experience. But when it has no measurements, you can't go to the moon praying on Earth to go to the moon. You have to measure and design things to work with the 92 elements. Now, there's a history of the 92 elements that starts with arsenic and goes all the way up until the 92 fill up till now. And then you got people traveling around the world. They can't do it at all. Then they raft and they never come back. Then they figure out how to go snaking against the wind, and they come back. Then they go around the world, and that takes a year or two. And then the next thing you know, they got steam engines, and they go around in a year, and then it keeps going. Steam engines get better. Then they get the airplane with the Wright brothers. The next thing you know, you're going around the world now in 12 hours, you know, if you really want to. But then you get to a satellite, and you're going around the world 50 times an hour. So that's all based on this curve of allowing the mind and know-how of the human mind to design the environment to be less entrophic for human existence, and the speed of everything increases, as well as the longitude, and the amount of years a person lives, and everything, studying the medicines and everything, which were really caused by war. War was what pushed the medical way ahead, and people going on the sea and the ocean in World War II, and under the sea and over the sea and flying, and all these things. The side thing off the wars are advantages in which we learn how to make better environments for us to live when we're at peace. So that we can get to a point to where we don't need to have wars anymore to educate ourselves, because it's absolutely the most ignorant way to educate ourselves, is to go try to kill each other. Humans don't really tend to do anything unless they're forced to. Like, I would never start talking about all this stuff if I wasn't broke. So, you know, the universe has got me going broke, so I have to start talking about this. And but if you're broke, get the cheapest car you can, take the front seat out, put the bed in on that side, go and get some cheap furniture and put plastic drawers on the other side, fill it full of everything, get comfortable. You know, now you can put solar cells and have you can have refrigeration, everything, you know, but mainly get a phone. Get a phone so you can go on the internet and then go on YouTube and start doing what I'm trying to do here. And you can try to find information that humanity doesn't know about that will help them And if you're broke, you're better off leaving all this stuff behind anyway, because it's a waste of time, really. You want to where you have very little overhead, I mean, practically nothing, and then you can do what you want to do to help humanity become a success on planet Earth. And my next one is the first one. This is my second videotape, but I'm starting with this because I forgot to say I'm with Broke RV Living. Hit the subscription and like, por favorio.